This one's been a long time coming. As most of you know, I was at home for a couple weeks. Well, if you watched the last video, I believe I recorded it there, and I said I had some playoff ideas, and I did. Executing them took a little longer than I thought. In fact, while I was on the flight, and being in Kenya for as long as I wasn't exactly allergic to longer flights, but this 15 hours from Toronto to Hong Kong is certainly a situation. It definitely presents a lot of opportunities. One of them was to listen to a bunch of podcasts and actually make predictions for every single series in the first round, which I did because as I took off, none of them had started yet. Unfortunately, it took me a couple days to actually get over the jet lag and have enough time to actually do anything that required thought since day one. I was right back at work. And by the time I actually sorted it out, some of the series have ended, which kind of made it weird to show you what I predicted. So I decided I would wait till they all ended and then get this one going. So we got the first round. I'm going to be honest. I mean, if you know me, you know that why would I make all of this just to lie to you? So I did write them down. I have them in my notes, not that I couldn't make up those notes. You're going to get what I thought was going to happen for the first round, the congratulations to me and the shame on me when I'm right or wrong. Then I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen in the second round. Even though it just started, you're going to tell by my picks. That did not influence exactly. Maybe it should have, but I'm going to stick with what I wrote down because that's being honest. Then what you actually probably want to know more about is a lot of our pool has now been somewhat decided, and every single year you could kind of tell once the points started rolling in which way it was going to go. This year, as you're going to see, there's actually a few more people still on the hunt. This is going to come down to the last awards. It is going to come down to the All NBAs, and it wouldn't shock me if it comes down to who's winning the title. So in my desire to keep this somewhat palatable, since I'm talking about 2 rounds, I'm not starting with a my 2 cents bit, even though you know I have a ton to say. I figure let's get right after it. We'll talk about the pool stuff. I'll save some of the other thoughts for later, or maybe they'll sprinkle them liberally as I talk about the teams. Either way, teams first, our pool second. Here we go. This was the setup as best I had it leading into the first round. So you notice I have the matchups next to each other, and I want to update what I thought and then obviously what happened. So we know, and actually I called Cleveland over Miami in 4 games. Not a big shock. I actually called the same Boston Magic, although I will say in this particular case, don't give me full credit because I put 5/4 and I actually didn't circle either, and I had 5 first, so we'll count it as a 5, not a pure win on this one. I did get kind of like, would Orlando do anything at home? Because sometimes, they fight a little bit more. So anyways, plus I was like, man, Paul, Banchero, maybe. Anyway, doesn't matter. This one, weirdly enough, I was off. I had the Knicks. I had them over the Pistons. Obviously, I had them in 5, though, just because I figured every game would be a battle. I underestimated where Cade had come from this year, and both Thompson twins I definitely underestimated. So the Knicks still won, just not in the ease of which I thought they would. And I actually had Indy winning in 6. I thought they'd win at home, and honestly, part of it was because I just listened to a podcast where they said Dame time is back. I was actually thinking about taking them earlier. I'm a little bit bigger on the Pacers right now, and I'm just not that big on the Bucks. So I was 4 for 4, but not in all the games. But let's be honest, pretty much everyone had that one. Maybe you had a flyer on the Bucks or the Pistons, but I doubt it. Can't really pat my back too hard on this one. I did have the 4-0, so I had the Thunder and Memphis. No real surprises here. I did have Golden State winning, which they did, although I did think they would win in 6, not 7. So these are the ones I was right on. I was wrong on the next 2. I thought the Lakers were going to win in 7. I thought it'd be a tough game. I thought it would be, a tough series. So I did see that one coming. I just didn't see how little the Lakers would care about any kind of thing that resembled a rebound, which I'll talk to a little bit because obviously Gobert had a series and a half, but I think we're in for a different story next round. And actually, this is where it's stupid. I watched Kawhi and I'm like, you know what? Maybe Clippers in 7. And I actually talked myself into it, and I did put Clippers in 7, so I was wrong. Number one, I just figured Murray would have 1 or 2 games, which he did. I thought Joker would be Joker, which he was, but a couple of the supporting cast stepped up in ways I didn't expect. And I really should have seen that hardened turtle. Anyone probably should have seen that one coming. And then maybe just Westbrook's heart in the end weighing out. Either way, I was wrong on 2 series, which is not great for the first round, but come on, the West, they were all kind of coin tosses. Now, the setup here isn't exactly perfect for the second round, so I'll have to set it up. Or maybe, did it work? I can't tell. I don't know how good my editing is. Probably wasn't perfect, but hey, I tried. Making my predictions for the second round. This is obviously a little bit trickier, especially since I'm going to stick with what I had on the page. And the games didn't always really support that, although my first one really did. I had one of these, and sometimes I have it in my notes where I'll circle it's this or it's this, and sometimes that's between games, and sometimes that's actually a win. In 2 of the series, I did the same thing. I put the home team is going to win. So I had either Indy in 6 or Cleveland in 7, and I was waffling back and forth about what I was going to do. So the actually fact that Indy won the first game, I didn't see that one coming, but I do think this is going to be a tight series. And it really comes down to Garland. If he's in, I think Cleveland wins in 7. If he's out, I think the Pacers actually can take this in 6 at home. So really what I'm actually betting on is an injury, which is why I'm going to predict Cleveland does withhold them, and I do think it's in 7. Boston, even though the game went the other way, I had Boston in 5. I did not have them losing the first game. I don't know if they're going to sweep, because Boston's one of those things. When they take 73s and they only make 25%, well, yeah, they're going to lose. And to blow a lead like that, they're the better team. If KP's healthy, they win this series. I even have the Knicks as kind of my last potential hope at team points. I just don't see it happening. Even after this, I don't necessarily think it's 5 anymore. I'm still going to stick with it because that's what I put on the paper, but it is what it is. Another one that could be in trouble, I had the Thunder winning in 6. I did think, there's always a Murray game. There's always a Joker game. Well, today must have been the Joker game because he came out like a beast. I do think that, I didn't see the first one going down like that, especially so quickly, quickly after they just finished the last round. But let's see how close I can get. And this was the other one I had, that the home team is going to win it. And either that means the Timberwolves in 7, because they're actually the favorite at the 6th seed, or Golden State in 6. And here's my problem. Golden State I just don't know if they have another series like that where they just get that battled. Now, I don't think, Minnesota's got a great D, but not as good as Houston. And I don't think they give the Warriors as much of a problem. So I was kind of going back and forth. And then I thought about the whole Gobert thing, like I mentioned before. Now, when Gobert doesn't have anyone to check him, and he's only maybe a quarter of the teams have someone who can actually check him, he looks dominant like he did against the Lakers, who, again, for some reason, forgot that layups are actually a thing you have to try for occasionally. He can rim wreck, he can change possessions, and he's actually, obviously he's a multiple defensive player of the year for a reason. But when he's against one of the people that can minimize him, he sucks and you can barely play him. So I guess the biggest thing is, can Green get over himself, not get a bunch of flagrants and technicals, and stay on the court, in which case I think he can minimize him a little bit. Still, Gobert, Green's not quite what he used to be, but he can get in your head. The problem is, I think he already has a couple flagrants, so he is in that technical idea where it could get suspension-y or he could have to miss a game. I'm banking not just on that. I think the big X factor is actually Jimmy Butler. We forget about playoff Jimmy. So I think this one's going to be tight, and I'm already opening up to being wrong here. But that's the way I see it. So there's our kind of breakdown, at least as best as I can come up with. Let's see how right or wrong I am. In terms of the pool recap, now this is where it gets tight, and let me walk you through a little bit. So I did update a lot of our awards already. So if you're thinking here, well, wait a second. How does Wemby qualify for points? He didn't qualify for awards, or he'd probably be getting Defensive Player of the Year instead of Mobley. So I don't know if you knew this, because I did not know this, but what they do for stats is you're supposed to have X number of games. If you don't, what they do, and I think it's like 52 or whatever it is games for stats, it's a little bit different. I can't remember, and I should look that number up for you. Probably should have done that. I do have an article open. I just won't make you read it. I can send it to you if you want. They take the total number that you had, and then they divide it by the games that you should have played. So what that means is his average was so much higher that even though he didn't play, I think 10 or 12 of the games to qualify, if you divided it by the games he would have had to have played, his average was still the best. So my stupid measure of taking Kessler, because he was next in blocks, that's the only reason I took him as my pickup player. Maybe he gets a defensive nod in terms of all defensive second team, maybe, but I don't think so. That was a stupid move that's going to kick me in the narts. Stephen Castle, though, was not a stupid move, did not get kicked in the narts on that one. But as you can see, kind of the breakdown here, I got a few pieces of love. Shea, you're really just the one-trick pony, but we know a couple of your guys are probably in line for some All-NBA. Cat, Ant-Man. I've heard some sniffing that maybe Bam on defensive side, so let's see how that goes. But you're all Giannis all the time, and you know he's a top 3 MVP getter, which means you know he's pretty much a lock for first-team NBA. Rennie, here's the thing with your points. We're going to say this a lot. You are going to be getting a lot more. I don't know about Booker, but Tatum and Jokic, I think they've got first or second team potential for sure. LeBron, I've heard in the hunt. Holiday, you're looking at possible defensive. Gobert, all defensive team, so you got some point values there. For me, Luka sucks, so he'll get something, but not what he should have gotten. I'm actually the one, I'm going to spoil it right now. I think I'm going to end up 5th, and I'm not just saying that self-modestly when you take a look at what I got left. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to come out on the bottom here, so let's just skip over me. Horst, if Wemby was not getting, was not hung up here, I think you have a real legit shot. I think even Cade has some opportunities to get you some more points. Even Harden to a point, yeah, that could happen. You did get, so Curry, Halliburton, you're in for some extra points, but teams are also something you're going to be jumping on. Chainer, you're going to be one. Right here, you are our player leader. Daniels clearly was the steal. You had him first, so I think he probably would have gone first to anyone who would have taken him as the pickup player. He's obviously huge, having defensive player of the year, and it really comes down to, or it might come down to MVP, which right now is a 2-horse race. Kind of interesting that they're both playing each other, and they both had monster game ones. Joker was a bit more monster. Now, the votes are already in, so it's not going to impact it. I think it's just kind of fitting that the award will probably be called while the series is on. And I'd say for about 2/3 of the season, maybe even 3/4, SGA seemed to be out ahead. But the Joker finished strong, and SGA didn't have to play that much at the end. And I don't know how much that hurts or helps. But you're kind of hoping for it because you really got only a couple guys that are getting you points, but they are getting you big time points. So just to take a look at what I've done and not done, social justice is in a couple days. Actually, I think it might be tomorrow, but day and a half from now, you get it. Sportsmanship later, citizenship's coming. And then we've got our MVP and our all defensive and all NBA teams. That's going to help round us out. I do kind of highlight as I go just to help you out. Jumping on to the team points, I am sorry, Chainer, your player points might win you through, but your team points honk butt. You're pretty much out. Now, Shea and me, we got the one-trick ponies left, but I like your tricks slightly better than mine. Part of the reason why I say I'm pretty much out like Jeff Doubt. Shea, if you got a few of your players to pick you up, and if OKC gets all the way through, you are still definitely in the hunt. Horst, you're the wild card because you got 4 here, but you also have some guaranteed to go through pretty much. Well, at least you have one matchup, so you know one of Golden State, Minnesota's going through, and then you just got to hope for 2 upsets. If that happens, you might very well just be taking this pool down because when all the awards, the dust are settled, it's pretty much just you on there. Rennie, you're looking pretty good right now too to have probably, they're the favorites even though they both honk, so you can't be too happy with that. But if things go the way they're supposed to and it's 1 versus 2, obviously you get both Eastern and one team in the final, so you are very, very much in the hunt. Looking at our overall points, they are deceiving. Chainer, huge out on top, but your teams aren't going to get you too much more. So we've had to get to around the 30 in the past. You have the potential to do that if you get SGA's MVP. Horst, you really need your teams to hang on, so I'm not worried about yours. Me, like I said, I don't have that upside, whereas Shea, you have the potential for OKC and a bunch of player points. Rennie, you're looking good on yours. So like I told you, I think it's a 4-horse race. No Horst joke to be made except for horses run, fishes drowned. Wah, wah. At the time of recording, I did let the cat out of the bag. A few of the series have already started, but not enough to really be dangerous. I say this because I'm going to try and jump in between the second and third rounds to give another update. Now, the NBA does that annoying thing where they don't always wait for both sides to get ready to go. So I might not hit the perfect spot. I'll try my best, but I do want to do the update to update the teams. Plus, by then, I have to think the all NBA teams, offense, defense, should be out there, probably the MVP too. So we'll have a lot to update on the player side, and then we'll see what it boils down to team-wise. So until then, best of luck, everyone.